This next comic, she's a writer, she's a comedian, she is Ted Cruz's cyberbully. It is Rohita Kadambi!
So the world's a really big fucking mess right now, and it's caused me to reevaluate a lot of my very deeply held beliefs. One of them was that men were making up the concept of blue balls. And then the Mueller report came out. And I was like, 2 years of foreplay for this? God, that is a real feeling, damn it! The other thing that I hate about the world right now is Brexit. I think their first mistake, though, was calling it Brexit and not the Great British Break-Off. They could have had Mary Berry there judging the whole situation, like, Teresa, this deal is massively underproved. Most higgledy-piggledy, has it not? Although now that Brexit is supposed to happen on October 31st, they should really change the name to Trick or Treaty. We're also living in a golden age for white scammers. There was Theranos Lady, there was the walking chlamydia virus that started the Fire Festival, Tangerine Caligula is the president. Like, of all of those people, all these white scammers, the people that are most likely to serve hard time are Felicity Huffman and Aunt Becky. Okay, hear me out about this one, because as an Asian person, I feel like this affects my community the most deeply, because we went to violin lessons, we did spelling bees, we went to Kumon, and all it took was Photoshop water polo pictures this whole time. I could have saved so much time if I had just known that. And I'm also just extremely pissed off that none of these rich LA parents have offered me $20,000 to take the SAT for their dumbass kid. Look at me in my AP calculus face and tell me you don't want me taking your stupid child's SAT. Like, I would do it too. And the thing is, I can't promise a Yale score, but I feel extraordinarily confident that I could get a 16-year-old Instagram model into Wake Forest. Do you know how you get into Wake Forest? You get waitlisted at Duke. That is their entire admission process. And I joke, but there is a lot of undue pressure on kids these days to get into certain name brand universities, and for what? 50 years ago, it mattered that Harvard had more books in their library, but now that information has been democratized, and undergraduate education is really just a choose-your-own-adventure to HPV. Depending on what school you go to, you want to get HPV from a pool DJ? There's Arizona State. You want to get HPV after a poetry slam? There's Oberlin. If you insist you must get HPV from a future Supreme Court justice, well then I guess you're going to Yale. And that's not even true, because I didn't get into Harvard, but I still got HPV there. I wasn't going to let the dean of admissions stop me from living my best life. That's just not how I'm going to do it. The other thing that gets me about this whole college admission scandal is that if I were a rich parent, I would do things very differently. First of all, I am not committing a felony for USC. That is a misdemeanor school at best. If I'm risking jail time, my dumb kid better get into at least the University of Chicago. It's just standards, people. And if I had $6 million and I live in Los Angeles, I'm just gonna recast my child like it's the gay husband on Bewitched or Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince. You can do that here. Or I would do an Asian reboot of The Blind Side and find a needy kid that's very talented, but not at football because I'm not sitting through that bullshit. I'd have to find a kid that was really good at differential equations, and our whole Blind Side movie would be trying to get this kid into MIT, because that would be a movie with stakes. The Blind Side has several problems, but one of its biggest problems is that we spend a narrative hour of this movie trying to get this kid, desperately trying to get this kid into Ole Miss, a school with an 80% acceptance rate, and an SAT check and a pulse at that point. And if you're not getting into a school like Ole Miss, admit that college might not be for you. It's okay. Like, no, college is not for everyone, and we need to be able to admit that in this day and age, because you work that hard to get into Ole Miss, and for what? You're gonna spend six figures on a degree in Confederate studies that will not pay off. My name is Rohita Kadambi.